Kim and Lance, it was a tragic day for many. The sheriff's office says the gunman opened fire with a handgun on a base where weapons aren't allowed. You know why we're here?
Yes. So that's why I used to leave, okay?
Okay, is there any comment that you can give us?
No, no ma'am. No ma'am.
Mayor, did you slap a city employee in the face? Do you have anything you want to say to the city, sir? These conditions that the tenants are living in are unsafe.
Yes, the conditions at 855 South Washington.
Need to talk about these conditions, the apartment complex, the conditions that the tenants have been living in. Started when neighbors were complaining that this was not a legal cemetery, but burials were happening. Step out the way so you can see it, but we actually did see the lid of the vault where Laquan Packer's grave is. His family is anxiously waiting to see the results. This has been a painful journey for them. They said they just want closure.
Breaking news: an NBC 15 investigation into an alleged illegal cemetery resulted in a raid on a Pritchard church this morning.
Investigators were looking for evidence that a funeral home may not be delivering on its promise to have those buried resting in peace. We have team coverage tonight on this exclusive story.
We begin with NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson. She was there when investigators from the sheriff's office raided that church.
Rachel, investigators knew exactly what they were looking for when they raided New Ship Ministries Church.
Yes, they did, and now they're putting the pieces together. Digging deeper into an alleged illegal cemetery.
We've had some victims come forward with concerns about their loved ones who, have passed.
The concerns, whether or not bodies are buried in the cemetery plots they purchased. The cemetery is operated by Cedric McMillan.
I think he will soon see that the walls will be closing in.
Investigators with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office have been looking into the operations of the cemetery, which led them to the New Ship Ministries Church on Wilson Avenue. Today they served a search warrant on the church and found something disturbing, a foul odor and some empty used coffins. Joseph Bonner is renting this church for his ministry. Investigators are looking into Bonner's relationship with Cedric McMillan, who owns the funeral home connected to the cemetery. Have you helped him at that cemetery on Cheeseman Avenue?
I haven't had any affiliation other than being on site as a funeral director.
Investigators have lots of questions after today's raid. They found multiple caskets and embalming equipment throughout the building.
And it appears that they're being pulled out and reused.
Bonner admitted the caskets belong to him. What about those caskets that they have? There's clearly dirt and mildew in some of them. Have they been reused?
No, they haven't. Those are old caskets, and that's the reason I have them, because they're old.
Investigators brought in a cadaver dog looking for evidence that perhaps these caskets were buried and then removed. She hit on this casket, alerting investigators that there has been a body inside.
I'm very shocked, very confused. No words can really describe, how we are feeling right now.
It's a disturbing discovery, and investigators say a violation because this church is not licensed to operate as a funeral home.
NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson, who has spent countless hours investigating this cemetery.
Rachel, what happened today, really the beginning of closure for those families?
Yes, it is. 4 months. That's how long families have been wondering if their loved one was buried here or not. And today, 3 families finally have the answer they've been waiting for. A moment families have been waiting for. Deputies cuffed Joseph Bonner, charging him with 2 counts of abuse of a corpse.
It gives, a sense of justice to the families. I mean, they knew something wasn't right from the beginning, and now they're getting those answers.
Bonner is the licensed funeral director and embalmer who investigators say oversaw burials at Heritage Memorial Gardens. Deputies dug up 3 graves today, searching for the truth. Captain Paul Birch with the Mobile County Sheriff's Department says they did find caskets and vaults, but they were full of water.
The vaults not being sealed, or grave liners, whatever these particular ones are called, is part of the problem. Part of the problem is inadequate embalming process.
Neighbor Jimmy Firestone was the first to bring this alleged illegal cemetery to our attention. He complained for months, saying it floods here when it rains, a major concern loved ones had.
This flooding around here, people, loved ones, didn't deserve to be over here.
It's been a long, painful journey for families seeking answers. Investigators say after today, there are more questions than answers. But one answer they do have is the bodies of the 3 dug up today were there.
They're not happy with the conditions, but they have a sense of peace knowing that they're here and that they have the opportunity to move them somewhere else.
The sheriff's office says there is much more to come. There could be additional charges for additional people. And we've been bringing you this story from the very beginning, and we'll continue to bring the latest updates.
Well, tonight, an exclusive NBC 15 reality check. Decades of unmarked graves.
Questions of where loved ones are buried, and now an active criminal investigation at Pritchard Memorial Cemetery.
NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson is uncovering the secrets of the forgotten cemetery.
Kim and Greg, we were brought here by several complaints from families that they can't find their loved ones' grave sites. When we started investigating, we discovered that many of these graves should not be here.
What you've got is 1 and 2. Nobody had ever come in to assess it as a cemetery.
NBC 15 dug through records and discovered that legally Pritchard Memorial Cemetery is broken up into 3 pieces of property. Attorney Tyler Pritchett with the Mobile County Revenue Commission says his records show sections 1 and 2, the front of the property where you enter, were never deemed a cemetery.
So all of these years, 1 and 2 was never considered a cemetery.
Right. Those pieces have never been, to our records, owned by a cemetery or deemed to be used as a cemetery.
Another clue, these are not cemetery properties. These 2 pieces of property are taxed. Legal cemeteries are not required to pay property tax. The Revenue Commission says only Section 3 carries the cemetery designation.
The 3rd piece of property that you've identified as 3 is a cemetery that we have associated as the owner as Pritchard Memorial Cemetery.
The Alabama Association of Cemeteries says to bury someone, you have to have approval from your governing entity. In this case, that is the Pritchard City Council. But Pritchard's Environmental Department says there are no records showing sections 1 and 2 were ever zoned as a cemetery. Pritchard Environmental says that means dozens of loved ones buried in these 2 sections shouldn't be here. It's an upsetting situation for Jaquel Bridges. She's been searching for her father's grave for years.
It's sad that you have people, that's your family, that's buried over here, and it's not even part of a cemetery. And that's very sad. That's disrespectful.
NBC 15 made this discovery after Section 1 was purchased in a tax sale by New Birth Community Church a few months ago. The same church, along with its former pastor, Cedric McMillan, were convicted and fined last month for operating another cemetery without a license. That cemetery, Heritage Memorial Gardens, is just feet away from Pritchard Memorial Cemetery on the same block. This news of separate properties comes as a surprise for some who have loved ones here.
And you know, that is really ridiculous.
While this decades-old web is untangled, Pritchard Environmental has ordered a temporary stop to all burials here at Pritchard Memorial Cemetery. We've uncovered more information about this property, including the arrest of the cemetery's founder. We'll bring you that at 5 o'clock tomorrow on the special reality check on the Forgotten Cemetery.
NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson is live in Pritchard tonight. Rachel Green has already pleaded guilty to federal charges, and tonight she faces state charges as well.
Hey, Greg, I'm told the FBI was here investigating and that yesterday Kim Green called in sick, packed up her office, and left.
Former Pritchard City Clerk Kim Green is accused of stealing more than $400,000 combined from the cities of Creola and Pritchard. She's accused of billing the city for hours she didn't work and creating duplicate paychecks for herself in Creola. Federal prosecutors say she took more than $50,000 that way, part of a $250,000 she allegedly stole from Creola between 2013 and 2017. After she got the clerk's job in Pritchard, prosecutors say she took another $150,000 from taxpayers. Mayor Jimmy Gardner says City Hall was blindsided by her guilty plea this week.
It was more than just shocking for me.
Investigators say Green stole cash bonds and court fees paid to the city.
She is the heartbeat of the city, to be honest with you, particularly dealing with policies and procedures and those kind of things. The handling of certain funds coming in and out.
Mayor Gardner says he heard rumors of Green stealing taxpayer dollars years ago, but never found proof.
After doing the background checks and investigation, nothing was found even from the city of Creola, and certainly we hired her.
The mayor says he never received any complaints about missing money, and he only found out about it when the feds showed up. Reporting live in Pritchard, Rachael Wilkerson, NBC 15 News.